It was an interesting moment for me at the time because I really wasn't seeking someone or anyone, I should say. I just hoped if I did meet someone that they would be a positive person to meet. Everything he was saying and doing was making me fall in love with him.
Fighting over custody. A lot of people quit going, that's just how it got to be. But she keeps on fighting and it takes a lot of guts. No justice, no peace!
You two are like two immature cartoon characters.
Objection. Where's any of this evidence of this?
Order.
I'm sanctioning you for $15,000.
I have a right to see my son.
This is all about a child. A poor boy born into a battle. Even with your lies, I gotta survive. Said I'm gonna survive, I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I'm gonna survive, gotta survive. Said I'm gonna survive. This is not justice! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice!
You're trying to have a judge removed.
I'll sanction her for thousands of dollars for coming to court.
How much money is Mr. K-Man, Mr. Geek paying you and your fellow judges to keep this woman away from her child?
Said I'm gonna survive, I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I'm gonna survive, gotta survive. Said I'm gonna survive, I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I've gotta survive, gonna survive. Said I'm gonna survive, I'm gonna survive. Even with your lies.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Welcome, guys. How are you? I hope everyone is in good space. You know, I will say that it is a little spotty for me. I'm not sure how I'm going to come through here. The internet it's a beautiful day, though. So I got to thank God for this beautiful day. Got me up this morning. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm very appreciate that. But I'm looking like I might freeze here and there, not sure, but right now I think I'm good. And so I'm just going to keep on until, I can't see myself anymore. And then I pause, whatever the case may be. But you know what? I have to say that's ups and downs. That's how life goes. I'm just very grateful, to be able to do this show and be able to say I love you to my children. And I don't want to take a day for granted because, every day's counted. Like I tell people, I got more years behind me than in front of me. So at least how I look at it. But I have this nice guest that's always, been such a light in my world, my mentor. And he's been on my show several times. And he reminds me how life is precious, but also don't let a day waste and just enjoy it. So he doesn't understand that he gives me that motivation to say, hey, he's still doing something. And I want to get to that age and still feel the way he feels. And, you're going to have your ups and downs in life, but that's just part of it, right? But with a positive attitude and still be able to do the things that you like to do and do other things that might be different. He definitely displays that wonderfully in the world, at least in my eyes. That's why I love to see him on the show, but he's also a clinical psychologist like myself, but he loves helping people and he helps me so much. That's why he is my mentor and my supervisor and everything. I love it. I told him, I've been with him for years doing my not undergrad, but my practicum and prospectus and internship and all that good stuff. So, I'm just one of his biggest fans when I see him on my show. I always want to mention before I bring him on is how grateful people should be. I know that sometimes you feel like, why me? Why me? And sometimes I feel that, I had to go through a big ordeal surgery that I didn't mention to nobody. And it was a big deal. I got through it. Some things, I still got to get more things have to be done and more tests. But the whole thing is that things are going and I'm getting some results and we're getting to it. So it's hard to say that to people because behind the scene, you just want to be this happy person when they can give you this news and you're just like, oh my gosh, what is that? What your life start appearing in your eyes as a flash. Like, is this something I'm gonna have to deal with for the rest of my life or remaining of my life? Or is it something that's gonna go and I don't have to deal with it or whatever? And I'm a person of a family and children. They're older and one younger a little bit, but so things go in my mind. Is just gonna interfere with that. So sometimes when you hear disappointing news or news that you can be happy about or you can be sad or you can be confused about, and you don't always know what that is. And even though I do this show and sometimes it has to look like I got it together, no, you don't always got it together. And you don't always have to display that you got it together. Even for the doctor. No, I have problems just like you. And I pray about getting through those issues and concerns. And so, with the prayers, and thank you to my family and friends with your prayers, and continue to pray for me on different things. And I don't like to display a lot of my business, but I will display that I'm a human being just like everyone else. And when I hear something that's not very, I want to say, settling with me, I'm going to deal with it too. And so that makes us kind of like we're on the same page. I still got to deal with bad news, good news. I love the good news. It's the bad news that you're like, okay, what is that all about? And then you question yourself, why this happened, why that happened. So when I say it, I'm just full of gratitude of being here and being able to, enjoy this life. I love my life. And I'm not the richest person at all, far from it, but I'm rich in heart and spirit. And I try to show joy and happiness for others. And I try to celebrate others, even if they don't want to celebrate. I try to do that. And I think that's so important to share that. So, anyway, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that. And I think that's so important. So, very grateful and very feeling good today. Very good. And with that note, of course, we're going to have to go on a brief commercial. And I will be back with my amazing guest. And so do not go nowhere. I'll be right back on the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. But we're coming live. We'll be right back. You right back? Hello, all. Three Corners of Deception movie is now available on Prime Video. How about that? October 14, 2023, on my 50th birthday, I am going to release this, and you guys can go ahead and help me do just that. Go see that movie. Thank you for all the support and not giving up on me. Go see that. Three Corners of Deception. Release me from all the pain and everything I've been through. Go see the movie. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you for all of the support. Go see that movie. Prime Video. Prime Video. How about that? God bless you all. I love you all. It was really hard for me to do that movie sometime because at that time, because 10 years ago is what I went through. It wasn't then. So I had to take, even they say you play yourself. It's not really always easy to play yourself. You have to play yourself 10 years ago when your mind was discombobulated and you felt betrayed. You know what I mean? You felt like, life was just not it. And, not in my situation. And it is based on true events. And, unfortunately, it's about judicial deception, but it's also about romance and drama and divorce. It's something that just went to a different way. But as I changed it and went into a movie. But what's interesting about this situation, people don't understand. It's a flow technique for me. That was my release to finish this movie. Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. We're coming live. Woo! Yes, we are back. Okay. So, if you're just tuning in to the Dr. Meleeka Clary show, I'm also going to let you know that I am on Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, um, Instagram, oh, LinkedIn. You could just Google me, YouTube. X, please follow me. Or drmeleekaclary.com is my website. Please go ahead and check me out. Follow me. If I don't know the answers, I will try to get the answers for you because that's what I do. Sharing is caring, people. I love bringing new things and interesting and informative information for you on my platform. Trying to make your day a better day and your life better for you. Now, with that being said, I've always mentioned I'm not a perfect person, but we talk about so many things on my platform. And I like to bring Dr. Grant on because he has been on my show. He's so knowledgeable in so many areas. So I pick his brain on some of the things that you ask me or we talk about through the emails. So if you don't mind, I'm going to bring Dr. Grant in. Come on, Dr. Grant.
Here I
Come
come.
on in. All right, here you come. How you doing, Dr. Grant?
Yeah, it's a good day.
It
Nothing
is,
hurts.
isn't
You know?
it? Great. You know what? I like that you said that. Nothing hurts. And you're up and you're like, hey, I have to say that for myself, a little pain, but that's only because I had a procedure done. So, but I'm here just like you are. So I'm grateful. Dr. Grant, when we get on this platform, I talk about all types of things of life and what people go through. And I receive emails or different things what people go through. And I know I don't want to talk about something really heavy, but sometimes you do have to talk about these heavy things because people need to get through these things and they need an outlet to know how to or try to. And I think the last time you came on the show, we was talking about trauma and what that looks for other people. And I want to say something that really jumps in, and I've spoken about it. Rape victims. You know, when you've been raped, and I've never been raped before, and so I don't know how that feels. Somebody take something from me in that way, violated me that way. But how would you and what kind of advice would you give or just a stepping tool if a rape victim wants to get back in a relationship and they're having a hard time with PTSD, because of the feeling. And I think we talked a little bit about to deal with certain things about that, but I know we had shortened time. But there is individuals, and I hope these people are listening, that want to venture off in positive relationships or even marriage and want their marriage to be successful. They know they've been through a situation that's not going to go away, but it has to be mentally maintained so you can move on. What is some really good steps or even some things that you would recommend that would be more helpful for a rape victim?
Well, that's a hard one, Malika, as you must know. Uh, I suppose the first
Yeah.
thing is that pretty much all the research on such things suggests that people who seek to advocate for themselves following such an incident, to prosecute, to testify, do better in the long run than people who try to keep it a secret or who don't seek some accountability from the attacker. That being said, I think the next important piece is that if they have a partner or if they anticipate having a partner, uh, that person needs to know what's causing the sometimes awkwardness about any new sexual relationship. That if you've been in a continuing relationship and all of a sudden you find yourself withdrawing from any kind of physical contact or being angry when approached, then that's obviously a relationship disruption, and it is going to remain that until somebody has some understanding of why you're acting that way, why you're feeling different
Mm-hmm.
than you did, a month earlier or whatever. Um, I think it's also very important for people in that situation to, uh, if they are continuing to, have flashbacks or other kinds of intrusive thoughts about it, to seek out somebody professional to talk with. Is It is not an easy thing to return from. Um, that's the first layer of what I would advise anybody to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? I agree with you with communicating with others about how you're feeling, because if you don't, really not able to move on. And what symptoms are you having that will give you that pushback? You know, people have that moment in their life that something reminds them, something triggers that feeling. And even if you, and I know when you're in relationships, and sometimes it's like people have like role play, and it's just role play, and and
Mm.
they have their sexual fantasies and role play. Yes, role play is fun for some people. They like to do that. That's fine. The thing about it is, people that have been experienced with rape may not enjoy that as much. So if you're with somebody that does do that, you may want to communicate with them on what pushes you back on certain buttons that may develop PTSD for you because of that experience. You know what I mean? And I think
Yeah.
that is so important to address that.
Well, you asked a couple of things in there that I want to address.
You know
One
what? Before
is
you do that, oh no, I don't want you to get that. I don't want to cut you off. We're gonna go on a brief commercial, and I would love for you to address that too. All right. And on that note, we are going to take a brief commercial. Do not go nowhere, friend. We'll be right back with the amazing, handsome Dr. Grant. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. It was because of me having a voice and saying something about what had happened to me, because I can't believe it. I can't believe that these individuals put their good name and their reputation on the line just to hurt somebody because they spoke up. Yes, see, that's what happens when you speak up. I get it, but I'm not fearful because of that. Even though I went through a lot and still go through a lot of things, I got God on my side, and I feel like if that is not enough, then I don't know what it is. Because I'm still standing and I'm still telling my story, and I'm gonna keep on telling stories, and that is why I like film. Because film, you'll be able to express things that you went through and experiences and people. You'll be amazed what you can do. Hello, all. Three Corners of Deception movie is now available on Prime Video. How about that? October 14, 2023, on my 50th birthday, I am going to release this, and you guys can go ahead and help me do just that. Go see that movie. Thank you for all the support and not giving up on me. Go see that. Three Corners of Deception. Release me from all the pain and everything I've been through. Go see the movie. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you for all of the support. Go see that movie. Prime Video. Prime Video. How about that? God bless you all. I love you all. Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. We're coming live. Woo! We are still with the amazing Dr. Grant. Come on, Dr. Grant.
Here I am.
All right.
Well, we were in the middle of
Okay, before we went on break, you was
conversation.
yes. We was talking about, I mentioned about role play and people doing certain things that kind of push buttons on giving someone PTSD or bringing those feelings that they try to put away. And you was going to comment on a couple of things that I said.
Hmm. Well, it's not like the current person is giving them the PTSD. It is that that the trauma is installed in them from the event, and it can be reawakened by a new experience. Two or three things were sticking in my mind, like uh, combat veterans, for instance, you know, will experience PTSD um, with the startle response. That is, they'll be very aware of anything out of the ordinary in their environment, and if they get jostled, it'll ruin the whole day. And that's certainly also true for rape
Yeah.
victims. Uh, Often, too, the some of the clues that something like that is going on. It's like, well, I've seen somebody, a woman who is very unwilling to wear anything that's tied around her neck. Uh, and as our conversation progressed over a period of many months, it became clear that she had been molested. Somebody had held her down by the throat, and she doesn't want anything touching her, in her upper chest. And that that's a sign that something ain't right. And then another thing that often happens are body memories. People may have no conscious recollection of an event, but all of a sudden their body will start hurting in a vulnerable area. There'll be uh, genital pain or anal pain or something when nothing is happening to that part of their bodies, but they can sense that a situation is developing that might produce that. And those are pretty important reasons to seek out some professional assistance, as well as to be sure that your partner knows this is what's happening to me. And
Mm.
you can't avoid having to deal with it if you're going to be with me. Those are the things I
Yeah.
most wanted to get said.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think that's important, that it goes into communication and how one feels. You know, and I wanted to touch on that because I thought, well, I did get a couple emails on some of the things about that, and I want to address that. So you guys heard it. I do want to switch on some things that I think is also important. You know, things in life has changed when it comes to couples and being in relationships and how important marriage is. Can I ask you this question? As me as being a divorcee, and I look at that as, would I get married again? I do want to get married again. I don't display my personal life and why I hold back with the marriage. But are we and I want to just get your understanding with that. Now it could be a personal person, or I want to say a preference. Somebody might want to get married, but on their terms. I've noticed, and I've spoke to several and have different clients in their interpretation of marriage or being content being by themselves. I still believe in marriage, but a lot of people that I have spoken to are very comfortable of being alone and or not even getting married. And do you see that as like, okay, is that what we're displaying in life, that no one wants to be in a marriage, that if something happens to somebody else, they have their back and people do not want to share? Or is it financial more so? Or it's just you don't want to give your own space and you want to be selfish? And not being selfish in a way that it's okay, not okay. Everybody got a little selfishness, but when you've gone through certain things, sometimes the highlight of being married is not, it doesn't highlight the greatest right now. And scientifically doesn't really display it as being the best way to go as much anymore. You're seeing people get married later on, even having kids later on, when women have certain, I want to say, windows to get it right or whatever, and then it becomes problematic. So, what do you think about the marriage thing of being so comfortable in that area? Are you still there, Dr. Grant? Or am I still there? I don't know.
It was really hard for me to do that movie sometime because at that time, because 10 years ago is what I went through. It wasn't then. So I had to take, even they say you play yourself. It's not really always easy to play yourself. You have to play yourself 10 years ago when your
Right.
mind was discombobulated and you felt betrayal. You know what I mean? You felt like, life was just not it. And, not in my situation. And it is based on true events. And, unfortunately, it's about judicial deception, but it's also about romance and drama and divorce. It's something that just went to a different way. But as I changed it and went into a movie. But what's interesting about this situation, people don't understand. It's a flow technique for me. That was my release to finish this movie. It was because of me having a voice and saying something about what had happened to me, because I can't believe it. I can't believe that these individuals put their good name and their reputation on the line just to hurt somebody because they spoke up. Yes, see, that's what happens when you speak up. I get it, but I'm not fearful because of that. Even though I went through a lot and still go through a lot of things, I got God on my side, and I feel like if that is not enough, then I don't know what it is. Because I'm still standing and I'm still telling my story, and I'm gonna keep on telling stories, and that is why I like film. Because film, you'll be able to express things that you went through and experiences and people. You'll be amazed what you can do.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Well, we're coming live. Woo! No, you know we're coming live because we are do a little bit of freezing. Come on, Dr. Grant. I think he's unfroze now. Welcome back.
Uh-huh. You see that I'm moving.
I know, me
Well,
too. Like, oh my gosh. I
well, I want to
don't
address
know
what
how
you
much
said
you
about
heard. Go ahead.
marriage.
Yes, please.
That especially if you're as far along in life as I have gotten, one of the things you begin to recognize is that people you might be inclined to marry already have very full lives. There was one of my daughters that told me, uh, you don't want to be with anybody who's really crazy, so you better have to put up with somebody who is already connected. They've had children, they have siblings, they have long established patterns, they have their own property typically. So the question of how one is going to develop a pattern together that doesn't put too much pressure on those other connections that they are already committed to. Uh, I personally like being married very much, and I miss that having somebody who has your back and somebody who, at the end of the day, would want to listen to what I've been through all day and what I would want to hear from them about what they've been through. But uh, it's, when I talk to, you know, relatives of mine who are married but fairly mature, uh, they'll tell me, well, Lord, if my husband were to die, I wouldn't want to get married because I've gotten so used to having things the way I want them. And you said something earlier about marriage on one's own terms. And I think, to be sure, a marriage that isn't compatible with both people's terms is going to be a big problem. That because we all have our terms, the way we would want to be connected to someone. I'm, I've been widowed now for almost 3 years, and I'm almost a year out of another very close relationship. And I have just begun to settle into having kind of rediscovered how to make my life gratifying without a partner. And that took several months before that other relationship started, and it's taken several months since it's ended. But would I want the same kind of relationship as I had before? Well, probably not. I'd love to have somebody that I could count on spending time with, and I wouldn't mind some physical affection, and I would like to be in ongoing conversations with somebody who was smart and shared my interests. I, but I've discovered that some of those things I can get by being proactive with married friends, and you know connecting more vigorously with my own children, and uh, so that it doesn't feel as indispensable to me as it did, like right after my wife died, to be connected and to have a woman in my life. Um, and I think that's true for a lot of people, that after, it may take a year to develop a life that is currently satisfying. And once one has done that, then that's something that one has to be willing to relax one's hold on if one is going to let somebody else get as close as a potential marriage partner might be. And so I think that's a very typical issue for at least older widowers. I mean, there's lots of widowed women out there who would like company, but the question of how to develop terms that are mutually acceptable and don't require disruption beyond a certain point of the patterns that the other person has already established. That's that was the sum of my thinking on that subject. I'd be happy to hear what else is going on in your mind.
Thank you for sharing that. You know what? What's going on? I noticed that there is a lot of talk about sharing. And, when people get married, I think they talk more about financing or their space, finances and space. Does marriage have to change everything about you? And I just said this to a person of mine. I said, a friend of mine was telling him, if people got married and didn't realize they were married and get away from the idea of, hey, I'm married, now I got to change my whole world. Why don't you just keep doing what you're doing? You got married for a reason and let it play out. And then I believe when I first got married, I didn't do that. I always going to say that I like the idea of marriage, but didn't really know how to keep the marriage. And I say that because, people could like the idea, but when it comes to dushing it everything out together and got each other's back, I was feeling that there was right and left and we weren't getting to the middle of it. And that I don't want my second marriage to be that, because if I'm going to do this again, it's got to be one and done. I mean, it's got to be done. That's it. And you really kind of like, when you have had, and I've had my experience, but I think my main experience is not just a trust, but trust that you got my back. Trust that you ain't got no hidden agendas. There's nothing else, that you're just trying to get into my space and then take advantage of me mentally. Because now this person's dialed in, they're tuned into you. And some people can be manipulated like that, or be manipulated. manipulated like that. And I think that's kind of where I have issues when it comes to that, because you're giving all that energy to that one person. And I want to do it. I wouldn't mind, but I've heard other people, and I always give that advice. It's okay to show somebody you love them. It's okay to get close to them. It's okay to be vulnerable. That's okay. But are you being vulnerable to the right person? And that's the thing about why people are hesitant about being married, because you don't know if there is a hidden agenda behind the
Well, and
mask.
I think human beings always have a hidden agenda, but it's very often hidden from themselves. So one may believe one is behaving in a perfectly rational, kind, supportive way when one's own unconscious motivations are pushing one in a way that feels exploitative to the other person, which I think is one reason why courtship is a very important process, and it's a learning process. It's about being with another person long enough that the ways in which they're weird become evident to you, and you can have a chance to kind of figure whether those ought to be deal breakers or not. Because all of us want more and somewhat differently than we know that we want, and that will out. Hopefully, it will out before a decision about marriage is made, but sometimes it only shows up, a handful of years later. Um, you know, Often, as such a thing begins to happen in the course of a marriage, a partner will notice that something is different and will be brave enough to name it and do it, invite curiosity about it that can be shared curiosity that can help both of them grow and deepen their link. But uh, often that doesn't happen. But it is one of, as a therapist, it's one of the most exciting things I get to do is to see that happen with people whose marriage has been pretty disrupted, and they're growing back together at a higher level as we talk with each other.
Wow, that's amazing. And I love to see that. And I have seen marriages, just grow, and they have had, the matching fight and stuff like that, and duked it out, and they are still together, and that's why I love what I do too. I like to see that, and don't get me wrong, if you're not meant to be together, I like to see you be happy with someone or doing something. I've seen that too, but I do like to be, a part of something that can grow to be successful, and especially when they're trying together. And on that note, thank you again, Dr. Grant, for your comment. On that note, we're going to take a brief commercial, and we'll be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network with the amazing Dr. Grant. Do not go nowhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Being, but I'm not perfect. And I have my own flaws, but I'm working in progress. And if you're trying to change something, you're able to do it. You have the power, you have the key to your own success. And with that being said, I'm just glad that I'm able to do this and share other people's testimonies. And I'm so glad that there's many guests that I've already had on the show that have expressed their, challenges or what they've been going through or went through in their life. And I say that is because they're not perfect. So it's good that they express that.
Because you mentioned and said, I believe in God and I surrendered. And when someone is addicted to something, it's a challenge. It's tough. What was that moment that you said, I can't do it anymore?
Well, in book number 2, I talk about how I've been to prison. My prison number is 589931. I'll have that number for the rest of my life. It's just not a functional number. I talk about how I was delivered from a homosexual lifestyle. I talk about how I had a man that left me for another man. I talk about how I had a man that was HIV but never told me. But I'm sitting here today. I don't have AIDS, HIV, and I have a lot of people always say your immune system was so strong. No, that was the blood of Jesus that covered.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network, where we're coming live. Woo! We are still with the amazing, handsome Dr. Grant. Come on here, Dr. Grant. All right, all right, all right. It's such a wonderful, place for me to have you on my show, and you give me this warm feeling of achieve whatever you want to achieve. It's interesting that you have said that if you love marriage. I don't hear that all the time. I mean, I'm not gonna say I do. I wish I could say, hey, I have a bunch of people in my chair that says love marriage. No, I don't hear that. I always hear they want to get in a relationship, they want to do this, they want to do that. And when they're out of the marriage, how they missed it so much. But it's still gonna go through my mind. If you missed it so much, why didn't you stay? And you didn't stay because something didn't work well, or you wasn't willing to try to fix whatever was broken at that moment. Because and they just leave. I mean, are we leaving marriages without telling people why we're getting divorced and why we're not? Because some people that sit in my chair or I speak to them, they're clueless of why they even got a divorce. I'm like, really? You didn't see it coming. You didn't do this, you didn't do that, or you guys were arguing something. And do you get that? That some people just don't, I don't know. I thought everything was working great.
Oh, I hear that often. Uh, Usually, I guess I more often hear it from a man than a woman, but I've heard it on both sides. And, what that says to me is that there was a whole lot of conversation that needed to be happening, 5 years ago and since, that didn't ever
Yeah,
happen. So that
exactly.
instead of trying to make things better, they more worked at just trying to keep things the way they were until somebody breaks, and when they break, they run. Uh, you know, I think of all relationships, really, and marriage especially, as a resource. It's something that we've worked hard, kind of like we've saved in our bank account. We've got this thing that is valuable that we can do stuff with. And so letting go of such a resource is, it always has the risk that one is going to lose more than one gains. Uh, and I think very often that's what happens. But on the other hand, you know, 55 some odd years ago, I was divorced, and it's the best thing I ever did. Uh, so it opened the way to have a very different kind of relationship that was gratifying for 50 years. Uh, so I know that happens because, many of us get married when we're too young to know what we're doing, and where we've got our own growing up that's still, you know, nowhere near accomplished. And so we cleave to this other person kind of in hopes that they will be, you know, the parent that we hoped that we would have had and we didn't, or some other motivation that's pretty immature. And, for instance, if it works and one grows up some in that process, then this other person may no longer be the person you want to be with because they're still playing by the rules from 5 years ago or whatever. Uh, but I more often hear from people who are saying, "Well, I thought I wanted to end it, but then something happened that gave me promise for better things." And sometimes I'll have the good fortune of hearing back from a couple I saw years ago thanking me for helping them, having stayed together, way the blazes back. And that's very gratifying, but it does happen. I'm not sure what else I know about those things. I know that generally it's still true that women who get divorced, in the short run at least, suffer a really major drop in their financial well being, uh, often burdened with additional childcare costs and complications in their vocational lives. So it is not an easy step. Now, somebody who has their own career underway and is more able to absorb the financial blow is better equipped to survive that. But still, on average, women's net worth goes down after divorce and men's goes up. And that's that may be an injustice, but it is true. And it means that people need to be pretty careful in their decision making around that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, I've heard that before. And unfortunately, it is like that, like you said. And I think when I speak to single women, and I will say single men, um, I always look in this midlife crisis when I speak to men on some things, and now I'm starting to say midlife crisis for women too. When I hear conversations about being married or even being in a relationship, the first thing I hear, especially from women, I don't have to deal with anyone else's decision. I could do whatever I want to do, and I don't really have to think about anybody else. Who wants to pick after this person? Who wants to consider that person? Who wants to do this? And, and when I hear from men, it's I want to do whatever I want to do and don't have to listen to somebody. And I just could, have a good time with whatever I want to do. They don't have to be another individual involved. It could be a hobby or whatever the case may be. And I'm not sure all the time these individuals that I speak to are always broken from relationships. Sometimes it's just that it's more work to invest than not.
Mm-hmm.
And I and that
it is.
yeah,
And
what's your yeah.
Well, and the word invest is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
It's also risky, like investment. But if you don't invest, you don't make any money or any satisfaction. And the doing what I want. Well, that's true up to a point, unless what I want is to be held or to have a really deep conversation with somebody who gives a damn about me. Uh, those things we all want, or most of us want anyway, and it's a whole lot easier to get them when one has a regular partner. All the research will tell you that married people have more sex than single people do, for instance. And
on that note, I'm gonna leave that with that. We're gonna go on a break. Did y'all hear that? Marriage folks have more sex than single people. So y'all better start doing something else. We're gonna go on a commercial on that. We'll be right back with the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network, as we will be right back with Dr. Grant. Y'all heard that now. It was an interesting moment for me at the time, because I really wasn't seeking someone, or anyone, I should say. I just hoped if I did meet someone, that they would be a positive person to meet. Everything he was saying and doing was making me fall in love with him.
fighting over custody. A lot of people quit going, that's just how it got to be. But she keeps on fighting and it takes a lot of guts.
No justice, no peace.
You two are like two immature cartoon characters.
Objection. Where's any of this evidence of this?
Order.
I'm sanctioning you for $15,000.
I would like to see my son.
This is all about a child. A poor boy born into a battle. Even with your lies, I gotta survive. Said I'm gonna survive, I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I'm gonna survive, gotta survive. Said I'm gonna survive. This is not justice. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No peace. No justice.
You're trying to have a judge removed.
I'll sanction her for thousands of dollars for coming to court.
How much money is Mr. K Man, Mr. Geek paying you and your fellow judges to keep this woman away from her child?
Said I'm gonna survive, I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I'm gonna survive, gotta survive. Said I'm gonna survive, I gotta survive. Even with your lies, I'm gotta survive, gonna survive. Said I'm gonna survive, I'm gonna survive. Even with your lies.
Welcome back to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. Well, we're coming live. My engineer, he's so funny. Okay, go Celtics. All right, come on, Dr. Grant. Come on in here. You know, before you left, we were saying that single people have less sex than marriage. So, scientifically speaking, marriage individuals have more sex than single people. And you know, I could say, why is that? But because single people will have to go find someone to go get comfortable, and I would think more so than marriage, you're already with that person, you know what you got there, which is
Well,
fine.
I wouldn't disagree. And the go find someone, part of that is why that disparity in the statistics exists. You know, also, it's widely known that any relationship, marriage, gay relationships of either sex, that the longer the relationship goes on, there tends to be less focus on the sex, because so often the sexual attraction is what brings people together to start with, and it's beautiful and transformative, and it helps bond folks with each other. After one is well bonded, there's less urgency about it for most people. Now, I know that the rate of decay of that need varies widely from person to person and couple to couple. And one of the major things that often becomes a real problem in marriage is if that rate of decay is real different for one party than it is for the other, and leaves one person feeling really frustrated and the other person feeling, well, pressed for something they don't want. And sometimes that's rectifiable, and sometimes it isn't, and people have to make some accommodation if they're going to stay together. But the link that is most important is the friendship link that is within and behind the sexual attraction. There certainly are people it would be kind of dangerous to get sexually close to, because they're not equipped to be in connection with somebody else. They may be very attractive, they may be enjoyable to think of having a baby with, but they might not be much use in actually sharing the caring for that baby or anything else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that makes sense. So it takes a lot of work to think about your choices and what decision you should make.
I know in the couples that come see me, sex is not usually the central problem. it's usually something else that has to do with one or the other person feeling unseen and unheard. Uh,
That's right. That's for me too.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I totally agree with you. And I think that when I do have people in my chair, we talk about, they're not hearing me, or that person's not hearing me, or they don't acknowledge me, and my feelings doesn't matter, or I'm putting, not first, and they want to be
Mhm.
first, or they want to be included. I mean, include to the party, you know what I mean? And I get it. I mean, I will say that, being in a relationship or not being in a relationship, it does can make you feel like, hey, do you hear me? I shouldn't hear this from somebody else. You should be telling me about this. Should come from the mate itself. And sometimes you have situations that people are not communicating or making that person feel important more than somebody else. I mean, we all have family members, we have children, we have, siblings, we have parents, or some people have elderly parents, and whatever the case may be. But when you're in a relationship and you want to be in a productive relationship with somebody, it's very important to allow yourself and to show the person that you're with that you want them just as much of your family too. Because that's what I do notice in complaints of, I don't feel valuable here, or whatever I gotta say is not important. And I get it. And we're running out of time, but
Mhm.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I know that's so important, and I don't think we're ever going to mastermind the feelings or the emotions all the time. We can try to, but I think we will still have that, and that's why we have a profession, quote unquote, to
Yeah.
help people understand it is important. Yes, it is important to hear your spouse or your significant other, or listen to each other, or just darn near communicate with each other how you feel, and just listen. That's why I love the phone. I know people text, but I love the phone. It still works, people, because if you're far away and you're traveling and you're doing things, you can still have a conversation. So, with that being said, you know what, Dr. Grant, I know we're running out of time, and I'm so glad for your comments, and you shared so much, and we'll have you back on the show. But I know with the relationship, and I have a lot more to talk about, of course. We always run out of time, but we will talk about some more pressing concerns that other people do have. And yes, it's about relationships, or yes, it's about life, because that's what we do. So, with that being said, Dr. Grant, thank you so much. You know how to get to Dr. Grant. You can Google Dr. Grant, and he's always in, around me, so I will be able to get in touch with him as well. So, but you can Google Dr. Grant and watch these segments. Thank you, Dr. Grant, and
You're
I
welcome,
appreciate
Meleeka.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. And you're looking for Dr. Meleeka Clary. Is drmeleekaclary.com is my website, and I already mentioned all my social medias. But what you can do is just Google me, Dr. Meleeka Clary, or Dr. Meleeka Clary Ghosh. Either way, I will, you can find me. I'm not hiding, folks. We talked about a lot of things today, and I talk about these things because I want you to understand how important they are, not just with other people have concerns. I have those concerns myself. I'm, like I told you, I'm a human being just like you. So when I jump in with finding out, hey, should I jump in baby steps first, And sometimes baby steps is that's what you got. But that's okay. It's a reason why people take baby steps. But one thing you did not hear from us is that we don't believe in marriage, and we don't believe in relationships. You've heard from Dr. Grant, you've heard from myself. We believe in relationships, we believe in putting them together, we believe in it. So, with that being said, people, marriage is still important, and people still can do it. You just got to get over some things and find your mate. Hey, we all got different mates that we're attracted to. That's okay. But as long as you can, work those things out. If you're investing and you're willing, anything's possible. So, with that being said, I want everyone to have a wonderful rest of the week and a wonderful today. And if no one said I love you today, I love you, and I care what you think and how you feel. Thank you for tuning in to the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show on the Bold and Brave TV network. And I will see you next time. God bless and take care. Mwah! I love you all.
You've been watching the Dr. Meleeka Clary Show. Tune in next week as Dr. Meleeka will help you shift towards a better life. But this show doesn't stop there. She'll provide helpful tips regarding surviving the entertainment industry and the judicial system with practical information. Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern.